What's up again there, guys? Brian here, the 3 Topics Gamer, and I have a little interesting top 5 list video ranking video to share with you guys today, as I'm sure you can tell from the title. Now, as some of you who may not already know, I'm a massive PlayStation gamer. Even though I still like to keep my roots in Nintendo, I typically mainly like to play on PlayStation. And I don't like to give Microsoft's Xbox a lot of credit for most of the time. However, there are a few minor games I think would prosper very, very successfully on the PlayStation. And that's what this list is about, as these are the top 5 games that are exclusive on Xbox, not counting PC gaming, because PC gaming is just way too damn expensive. But console-wise, I think that these 5 games would do exceptionally well on the PlayStation. And I'd like to share to you what they are. Now, I just want to apologize because I don't remember who sent in this idea, because it was a really, really good one and I forgot to write down the name. But if this was your idea, please let me know in the comments down below and I will be sure to give you a thank you. If you do happen to enjoy this list by the end, please do not forget to like, share, and subscribe to track me on my future videos or just ideas in general. So, without wasting my time, let's start off with my top 5 favorite games that are Xbox exclusive that I think would do very, very well on the PlayStation. However, this list might not end up the way you think, so let's get started. Taking the number 5 spot on my list is going to have to go to Halo 4. Now, just so you guys know, Halo 4 was actually the very first game that I played when I got my Xbox One all those years ago. And while I know its reputation amongst its fan base isn't entirely positive, I actually think that the primary story is good. It's not overly impressive or great by any standards, but I do think it's good enough. And I think that the fact that we moved on, and this is the beginning of the 343 era, I think had a pretty good start. And I will say this, that out of all of the main series Master Chief focused Halo games, Halo 4, without question, has my favorite ending. I think it's definitely the ending that has most emotion. You get probably one of the strongest connections between Master Chief and Cortana that you get in the entire series. And it does leave off on a pretty solid note, even though the rest of the story, and there's some elements that are a little bit lacking. I think that any story that can significantly land the ending will have a lasting impression on its fan base, and it especially had a lasting impression on me. And for me personally, this was the moment that even as a PlayStation gamer, I acknowledged that a Xbox franchise could tell a truly incredible story and have just a serious impact narrative-wise. And that was something that I always criticize Xbox exclusive games. So yeah, Halo 4's ending really won me over, which is why it's enough to help this game take the number 5 spot on my list. Taking the number 4 spot on my list is going to have to go to the game that started it all in the form of Halo Combat Evolved. Now, I think out of all the Halo games, this is the one that I've probably played on the most amount of semi-consoles or devices, because I absolutely did play this on the original Xbox. I did play this on PC, and I obviously had to replay this again when I got the Xbox One. And I would say out of all the Halo games, this is probably the one that I spent the most amount of time playing the multiplayer. I'm not really a big multiplayer person when it comes to first-person shooters, but I think out of all the Halo games, this is the one that I spent the most amount of time actually being online. Story-wise, it's a great start. It kind of shows that, the purpose of the Halo rings and the Flood, and you kind of see the first dynamics of Master Chief and Cortana's relationship, and you kind of get to see what the conflict with the Covenant is. And this is just, honestly, this is like a great place for anyone to experience the Halo franchise for the very first time. So if anyone is looking to get into the Halo franchise in any way, this is easily the game that you would recommend they start off with and then just continue playing the games in order from this point on. So yeah, gotta give this game a lot of credit, which is why it takes the number 4 spot on my list. Taking the number 3 spot on my list is going to have to go to Halo 2. Now, in comparison to Halo Combat Evolved, I think that it's an improvement over the first game in almost every single aspect. The gameplay was definitely improved upon. The visuals are definitely improved upon. The story has a lot more going to it and has a much more faster and intense pulse than the first game. It's pretty much what you would expect from a sequel to a very successful game. They pretty much got everything right, except the ending. I will definitely say that just as for Halo 4, that game has my favorite ending involving the Master Chief. I would say without question, Halo 2 has my least favorite ending of any Master Chief focused Halo game. And simply because I just felt like it sort of cut off. I felt like even back then, like there may have been like one more mission to close it off properly before jumping into Halo 3. And this game just didn't do that. And that really left a really bad taste in my mouth. And I know I'm not alone in that. And I think I didn't touch this game's multiplayer as much, but I do think that just with every other element that this game has, it was an improvement. But like by that point, I was playing other first-person shooter multiplayer levels. So yeah, but yeah, overall, it's definitely worthy of the number 3 spot on my list. Taking the number 2 spot is going to have to go to Halo Reach, which actually is the one Halo game apart from, I believe, the most recent one that I actually have not had a chance to play. But I've spent so much time actually reading into the story of everything that happened during the fall of Reach that I want to play this game so bad. And the fact that they did such a phenomenal job with a story that does not involve the Master Chief and actually focuses on the events that happened before the first game, I think is truly phenomenal. I think all of the characters of Noble are very, very interesting. And the fact that this tells kind of a story of an unimpending doom and that you want to see how the story plays through is very, very difficult to do. It kind of has like this element of like the 300 Spartans from Thermopylae as they're taking on this like overwhelming force. And even though you know they aren't going to make it, what they do and their sacrifice will ultimately lead to a much grander conflict that will end in a victory. And it all starts with what this team does. And the game isn't, from what I can tell, very long. So the fact that they were actually able to do so much with a limited amount of time with characters who aren't the main lead is a truly impressive accomplishment that even other popular franchises can't do. When a popular franchise has like a central character, they always want to focus on that one character. So to make other characters who don't have a connection to that character feel important is a truly amazing narrative accomplishment. And for me, story is always key and will win me over every single time. So that's why Halo Reach is the second game on this list that I want to play the most, which is why I take the number 2 spot on my list. Taking the number 1 spot, which shouldn't surprise a lot of you by now, and the one Xbox exclusive game I want to play on PlayStation the most has to go to Halo 3. I think when you take all of the key elements that you want in a really great game, when you compare all these Halo games next to each other, I just think that Halo 3 has the top quality amongst all other Halo games from my experience. And that's why it takes the number 1 spot. It by far has the best story out of any Halo game. I think the gameplay is really at its best. I think even though I didn't experience the multiplayer all that much, I thought that was working very well. I think character-wise, I think this is probably the best presentation of not just Master Chief, but the supporting characters as well. I think that the weapon variety was pretty good. The ending was a great way to close out the trilogy of Bungie games that ended this era of Halo games. And it's just a truly phenomenal game. Now, it's certainly not a 10 out of 10 in my opinion. I'm not sure I could ever give an Xbox exclusive a 10 out of 10 personally, but it's pretty damn close and can easily go head to head with the very best that PlayStation could offer, which is why out of any game that Xbox exclusives have, this is the one that I would want to play on PlayStation the most above all others, which is why it's the number 1 game on this list. Are any of you guys really surprised by the results? I mean, come on, let's be fair. Microsoft's Xbox has really been surviving off of the back of this one franchise for over 20 years, which I think is an incredible accomplishment because that's not something that Sony or Nintendo could do. They need multiple franchises to keep their consoles alive. But Microsoft's Xbox, just put out a Halo game and you'll be good for a good decade. Which is not an insult because that's an incredible accomplishment. I mean, for God's sake, I even still have my limited edition case for Halo 5 Guardians, which I think is like the only Xbox game I ever actually went out of my way to buy. But heck, I think that since PlayStation retired its 2 primary first-person shooter franchises in the form of Killzone, which was a launch title for the PlayStation 4, and Resistance, which its series ended back in 2012, and both these games, these franchises ended on the Vita, we have been desperately in need of a first-person shooter franchise for the longest time. And since I openly concede that Halo is without question the greatest first-person shooter franchise, both gameplay-wise and narrative-wise, I think that to have Halo come over to PlayStation would be just a win-win for everybody. which is why that is what this list is primarily made of. But that's just my personal thoughts. But I'd like to know, what do you guys think? If you guys are primary PlayStation players or you mainly play on PlayStation, what are 5 Xbox exclusive games that you think would do very well on a PlayStation console? Share your list with me and everyone else in the comments down below. And like always, thank you guys for watching. You're awesome, and I'll see you guys next time.